8. Anomalies with.
는 것 소스, howtostudykorean.com.
Below is a list of vocabularies to be used in this lesson. Nouns.
어른, 어덜트 어린이.
Child, children.
공주, 프린시스 영향, 인플루언스 글.
Some sort of writing.
문학, 리터러처 지방.
District, local area.
이웃사람 이퀄 네이버 환경 이퀄 엔바이른먼트 농장 이퀄 팜 부분 이퀄.
Part, section.
광고 이퀄 애드버타이스먼트 농구 이퀄 베스컷볼 배구 이퀄 발리볼 지구 이퀄 어스 방귀 이퀄 파트 고개 이퀄 헤드 방향 이퀄 더렉션 해외 이퀄.
Abroad, overseas.
자체.
Itself, its own.
시대.
Times, period.
주의, 코션 버브즈, 연구하다.
To research.
집중하다.
To concentrate.
나누다.
To divide.
이용하다.
To use.
등록하다.
To register.
매다.
To carry on one shoulder.
세우다.
To stand something up. To line something up.
움직이다.
To move.
정리하다.
To arrange.
취소하다.
To cancel.
지키다.
To protect. To defend.
놓치다.
To miss. A train bus opportunity. Adjectives.
적다.
To be few.
강하다.
To be strong.
불편하다.
To be uncomfortable.
충분하다.
To be enough. To be sufficient.
졸리다.
To be sleepy.
솔직하다.
To be honest, frank.
정확하다.
To be exact.
친하다.
To be familiar with. To be close with.
급하다.
To be urgent. Adverbs and other words.
결국 이퀄 이벤추일리 내내 이퀄.
Throughout a time.
드디어.
Finally. At last.
그냥.
Only. Just.
약간.
Slightly, a little bit.
철저히 이퀄 서롤리.
Irregulars with.
는 것.
Present tense. In lesson 7 you learned all about Korean irregulars. In that lesson, I wrote, as with all languages, there are some irregular conjugations that you need to know. The irregulars apply at times when you add
아어여.
or another vowel consonant to a verb adjective stem. Aside from conjugating, you have yet to learn other times when you must add a vowel to a word. You will learn about these later. Irregulars can act differently depending on what vowel consonant you are adding to them. Up to now, you have learned a lot about adding
아어.
to verbs adjectives and how irregulars change as a result of this addition. For example,
걷다 플러스 어아. 걸어 부르다 플러스 어아. 불러.
however, adding
는 것.
to the stem of
걷다.
or
부르다.
does not change them. The only irregular that comes into play when adding
는 것.
in the present tense is the
리을.
irregular. The
리을.
irregular from lesson 7 stated, if the final letter of a stem is
리을.
and you add to that stem, the
리을.
is removed and the gets added on directly to the stem. However, if you are adding
는.
or something starting with
시옷.
to the stem, the
리을.
is removed and
는.
is added directly after the stem. Here is a table showing how
는 것.
should be added to the stem of a verb from each respective irregular. Notice that the
리을.
irregular is the only case where the stem changes as a result of
는 것.
present tense addition of
는 것.
irregular word application.
짓다 짓는 것 걷다 걷는 것 돕다 돕는 것 아이 잠그다 잠그는 것을 부르다 부르는 것을 열다 여는 것.
Here are some example sentences.
저는 친구가 문을 여는 것을 봤어요.
I saw my friend opening the door.
마음에 드는 부분이 있나요?
Do you have a part section that you like?
저는 아는 것만 하고 싶어요.
I only want to do things that I know.
옆에 사는 이웃 사람이 너무 시끄러워요.
The neighbor who lives next to me is too loud.
우리가 사는 지역이 조금 위험해요.
The area we live in is a little bit dangerous.
농장에서 사는 게 싫어요.
I don't like living on a farm.
옆 집에서 사는 사람과 친해지고 있어요.
I am getting close to the person who lives next door. Full stop. Past and future tense. Four irregulars come into play when adding
는 것,
an.
을 것, irregular,
If the word stem ends in
시,
the,
시옷,
gets removed when adding a vowel.
irregular,
If the word stem ends in the,
디귿,
gets changed to
리을,
when adding a vowel.
irregular,
If the word stem ends in the,
기읍,
gets changed to
우,
when adding a vowel.
irregular,
When adding
는,
or
을,
to the stem of a verb or adjective where the stem ends in
을,
or
리을,
replaces the
인,
stem. The first two follow essentially the same rule. In each case, the stem of the word originally ends with a consonant. For example,
짓다 걷다,
therefore, when we have to decide if we add
니은,
or
은,
we must choose.
은, 짓은 거든,
However, each of the respective rules indicates that the placement of a vowel immediately following the stem causes it to change. The above should be changed to
지은 걸은,
when adding
는,
to a verb that ends in. The same rule applies as if you were adding it to an adjective. For example,
쉽다 플러스는 쉬운 돕다 플러스는 돈,
remember that the
기읍,
in
돕다,
changes to
오,
only when
아어,
or one of its derivatives is added to it. When any other vowel is added,
기읍,
changes to
우,
when adding
는,
to a verb that ends in.
을,
The same rule applies as if you were adding it to an adjective. For example,
길다 플러스는 긴 열다 플러스는 연,
here is a table showing how
는 것,
should be added to the stem of a verb from each respective irregular. Notice that this applies to the an
리을,
irregulars, past tense addition of
는 것,
irregular verb application.
짓다 지은 것, 걷다 걸은 것, 돕다 도운 것, 아이 잠그다 잠근 것을 부르다 부른 것을 열다 연 것.
The exact same thing is done for each respective future tense conjugation but with
는,
replaced with.
을,
Here is a table showing how
것,
should be added to the stem of a verb from each respective irregular. Notice that this applies to the an
리을,
irregulars and is exactly the same as the table above except for that
을,
is used instead of
는,
future tense addition of
것,
irregular word application.
짓다 지을 것, 걷다 걸을 것, 돕다 도울 것, 아이 잠그다 잠글 것을 부르다 부를 것을 열다 열 것.
Here are some example sentences.
irregular, 그 집을 지은 사람은 누구예요?
Who is the person that built that house?
저는 집을 지을 거예요.
I will build a house. Remember that the future tense conjugation of
을 것이다.
is actually just the future.
는 것 irregular, 그 사람은 서울에서 부산까지 걸은 첫 번째 사람이었다.
That person was the first person who walked from Seoul to Busan.
irregular 제가 도울 게 있나요?
Is there something I can help you with?
것이,
Is often contracted to
게,
in speech.
irregular, 그는 문을 열 사람이에요.
He is the person who will open the doors. I'm not sure when you would say that sentence, but it's difficult to think up of a sentence where I can apply this irregular and make it sound natural. This irregular is often applied when conjugating to the future tense by adding
을 것이다.
to the end of a sentence.
저는 내일 시장에서 사과를 팔 거예요.
I will sell apples at the market tomorrow.
그 광고를 만든 사람이 진짜 잘 만들었어요.
The person who made this advertisement did a really good job. My favorite thing.
가장 좋아하는 것.
Saying my favorite is one of the first things that people want to learn whenever learning a new language. In Korean, the grammar within this sentence is a little bit difficult. You only just learned it, so that is why you are just learning about it now. There is no word in Korean for favorite. Instead, they use a combination of
좋아하다.
to like and
제일 가장.
which you learned in lesson 19. You have known how to use
제일 가장.
with
좋아하다.
for a long time now. Here are some simple sentences.
저는 우리 학교를 좋아해요.
I like our school.
저는 우리 학교를 가장 좋아해요.
I like our school most, but you haven't yet learned how to specifically say my favorite is. Let's look at adjectives first. These should all be easy to you.
가장 큰 것,
The biggest thing.
가장 작은 것,
The smallest thing.
가장 어려운 것.
The most difficult thing. However, in those sentences, only adjectives are describing the noun. Now that you have learned how to describe nouns with verbs, you can now say,
내가 가장 좋아하는 것,
the thing that I like most, which is also my favorite thing. Notice that it is not.
나의 가장 좋아하는 것.
Really, you are not saying my favorite thing, you are saying the thing that I like most. So even though in English we say my, in Korean you shouldn't choose
나의 저의,
in place of.
내가 제가,
In these sentences, you could take
가장,
out to simply mean the thing that I like,
내가 좋아하는 것.
the thing that I like, or change the subject.
저의 친구가 가장 좋아하는 것.
The thing that my friend likes most. Now that you have created a noun of the thing that I like most, you can place it in sentences.
제가 가장 좋아하는 것은 음식이에요.
My favorite thing is food.
음식은 제가 가장 좋아하는 것이에요.
Food is my favorite thing. You can also replace
것.
with any other noun.
제가 가장 좋아하는 음식은 김치예요.
My favorite food is kimchi.
제가 가장 좋아하는 날은 금요일이에요.
My favorite day is Friday. As I said before, people often don't realize the power of the
는 것.
principle. Now that you can describe nouns with verbs, you can say much more complicated and natural sentences. Look at the following example.
내가 가장 좋아하는 것은 영화야.
My favorite thing is movies. This sentence is natural, but you could more precisely describe what you like if you used
는 것.
For example, you could say that your favorite thing is watching movies or making movies. You learned in lesson 26 how to make these nouns.
영화를 보는 것.
Watching movies.
영화를 만드는 것.
Making movies.
내가 가장 좋아하는 것은 영화를 보는 것이다.
My favorite thing is watching movies. The easiest mistake to make in that sentence is incorrectly not changing the latter part of the sentence to a noun. Many learners of Korean would just say the following.
내가 가장 좋아하는 것은 영화를 봐.
But that just translates to my favorite thing watches movies. You need to say my favorite thing is watching movies, which requires you to change the second clause of the sentence to a noun and then add
이다.
is.
친구는 선생님이다.
My friend is a teacher.
내가 가장 좋아하는 것은 영화를 보는 것이다.
My favorite thing is watching movies. Hell, complicated. That's why I waited until this lesson to teach it to you. If you specifically want to say that your favorite thing about X is Y, you can attach
에 있어서,
to a noun in the sentence.
에 있어서,
Typically translates to when it comes to in English. For example,
한국에 있어서 내가 가장 좋아하는 것은 한식이야.
my favorite thing about Korea is Korean food, or when it comes to Korea, my favorite thing is Korean food. Not only can you do that, but now that you have learned about the
는 것.
principle, you can create more complex nouns throughout the sentence. For example, instead of saying the sentence above, you could say,
한국에서 사는 것에 있어서 내가 가장 좋아하는 것은 한식이야.
my favorite part about living in Korea is Korean food.
한국에서 사는 것에 있어서 내가 가장 좋아하는 것은 한식을 매일 먹는 것이야.
My favorite part about living in Korea is eating Korean food every day. Tilde.
는,
With.
쉽다, 있다,
And.
없다.
There are a few words that seem a lot like verbs but are actually adjectives. In lesson 17, you learned about
쉽다.
and how it can be used to say that one wants to do an action. For example,
저는 한국어를 배우고 싶어요.
I want to study Korean.
저는 캐나다에 가고 싶어요.
I want to go to Canada. In that lesson, I told you that
쉽다.
is an adjective. As such, you must treat it as any other adjective when describing a noun. This means that if you want to describe nouns in the present tense using
쉽다.
you must add
는, 예쁜 사람.
beautiful person,
똑똑한 사람.
smart person,
내가 만나고 싶은 사람.
the person, who that, I want to meet. Below are many examples.
제가 가장 만나고 싶은 사람은 유재석이에요.
The person who I want to meet most is.
유재석 배구를 하고 싶은 사람이 없어요.
There isn't anybody who wants to play volleyball.
이 수업을 등록하고 싶은 사람이 적어요.
There aren't many people who want to register for this class.
이 수업을 등록하고 싶은 사람이 충분하지 않아요.
There aren't enough people who want to register for this class.
먹고 싶은 것이 있어요.
Do you want something to eat? Literally, do you have something that you want to eat?
체육 수업 시간에 농구를 하고 싶은 사람이 있어요.
Is there anybody who wants to play basketball during pay class? Tilde.
어떤.
Which you learned in the previous lesson, can be added to.
쉽다.
To carry the meaning that it creates. Essentially, the speaker can indicate that there was something he/she wanted to do in the past but currently doesn't want to do anymore. For example,
그것은 제가 말하고 싶었던 것이었어요.
that was what I wanted to say, comma. In lesson 5, you learned how to use
있다.
to indicate that one has something. I explained that this usage of
있다.
is an adjective. For example,
나는 펜이 있다.
I have a pen.
나는 차가 있다.
I have a car. When using adjectives to describe nouns in the present tense, you know that you should add
는.
to the stem of the adjective. For example,
예쁜 사람.
beautiful person,
똑똑한 사람.
smart person. Grammatically, it should be correct to do this with
있다.
as well.
펜이 있은 사람.
But this is incorrect. Even though this usage of
있다.
is an adjective, you must treat it as a verb when describing an upcoming noun. For example, the following is correct.
펜이 있는 사람.
The same rule applies to.
없다.
For example,
펜이 없는 사람.
actually, when speaking to a large group of people, for example, a teacher speaking to a group of students, it is common to ask, is there anybody who has or doesn't have X? By using this form without a predicating word, that is, it is common to say,
펜이 있는 사람.
does anybody have a pen? Is there anybody who has a pen?
펜이 없는 사람.
Does anybody not have a pen? Does everybody have a pen? This is why,
는.
instead of,
은.
is added to words like,
재미있다.
or,
재미없다.
and,
맛있다.
or.
맛없다.
When describing an upcoming noun, the inclusion of to have or to not have with
있다.
and
없다.
requires them to describe upcoming nouns by using
는.
instead of.
은.
For example,
저는 재미있는 영화를 봤어요.
I watched a funny movie.
저는 맛있는 밥을 먹었어요.
I ate delicious rice food.
관심.
Translates to interest and is commonly used to indicate that one is interested or not interested in something. To indicate that one has or does not have interest in a topic.
있다.
Or
없다.
can be used. For example,
저는 과학에 관심이 없어요.
I am not interested in science.
저는 과학에 관심이 있어요.
I have interest in science. When saying that one is interested in something, it is also common to replace
있다.
with
많다.
to indicate that one is really interested in a topic. We can attach
는.
to
있다.
and
없다.
here to describe somebody who is interested. For example,
과학에 관심이 있는 사람이 없었어요.
there was nobody who was as interested in science. When using
있다.
to indicate that something is in the state of an action using
있다.
introduced in lesson 18 or to indicate that one is progressively doing something using
고 있다.
also introduced in lesson 18
있다.
is seen as a verb, therefore, as a verb
는.
should be attached. But this isn't seen as strange because in this form it is a verb anyways. It is only strange when adding
는.
to
있다 없다.
when it is an adjective. Below are many examples of
는 것.
being used with.
있다. 수업에 집중하고 있는 학생이 없어요.
There aren't any students who are concentrating on the class.
주문을 취소하고 있는 사람이 많아요.
There are a lot of people who are canceling their order.
이렇게 앉아 있는 것이 불편해요.
It is uncomfortable to sit like this.
열쇠를 가지고 있는 사람이 드디어 왔어요.
The person who has the key eventually came.
정부가 그 병을 연구하고 있는 회사에게 돈을 줄 것이다.
The government will give money to the company researching that disease. Tilde.
어떤,
Which you learned in the previous lesson, can be added to.
있다.
To carry the meaning that it creates. Essentially, the speaker can indicate that something was in a place in the past, but is currently not in the place anymore. For example,
그곳에 있었던 사람들은 다 죽었다.
all the people that were there died.
그 자리에 앉아 있었던 사람이 다른 데로 갔어요.
The person who had been sitting there went to another place, comma. Only in a few grammatical principles is it appropriate to add
은,
to
있다.
or
없다.
to create
있은,
or.
없은.
When a grammatical principle creates a meaning that specifies that an action was done in the past and we are looking at the time since that action
은,
can be used. Two practical examples where you can see this is when adding
는 후,
to a word, lesson 24, and adding
는지,
to a word, lesson 30, using
그,
and other smaller words in
는 것.
sentences. One thing that I want to mention before this lesson ends is how to include words like
이그 나의 저의,
in
는 것.
sentences. It's hard to describe what I mean without examples. It's not really a concept, so I better show you some examples. In English, we could say, the person who I met. Translated into Korean would be easy.
내가 만난 사람.
However, in English, we could also say something like that person I met. Almost the same meaning, but not exactly the same. If you were to translate that directly, it would come out like this.
그 내가 만난 사람.
But in Korean, they always place those small words that can go before nouns.
이그 저 나의 저의.
Immediately before nouns. So, instead of saying,
그 내가 만난 사람.
you should say,
내가 만난 그 사람.
it's hard to translate some of these sentences into Korean. Look at next example. You will probably be able to understand it completely, but translating it to English is very difficult.
선생님이 본 나의 영화.
It would translate to something like my movie that the teacher watched, but that sounds a little bit unnatural in English. When these sentences come up, you should realize that the noun being described,
영화.
movie, is being described by two different things.
나의 영화.
My movie, and
선생님이 본 영화.
the movie that the teacher watched. Even though it is unnatural to say the full sentence in English, my movie that the teacher watched, you should be able to understand the meaning without needing to translate it directly. For more info, please visit howtostudykorean.com.